My phone got bricked a couple of days ago. The Xiaomi finally died. I searched up the problem, and every time I turn it on, it shows the boot screen, and then after a few seconds it'll show a white screen, completely white, and then in the middle there's a dotted line, and on the edges, I didn't notice this until somebody else pointed it out. Some other person on some forum pointed it out. There's dotted lines on the very edges as well, but they're very faint. Okay, so the problem with that is the CPU. So the CPU, something malfunctioned in the CPU, and apparently it's because in this specific model that I got, they use some sort of cheap. They use something cheap. It might be the paste for the CPU or something they use is cheap. Not the CPU, but they cheaped out on something else. And so now I'm out of a phone. And that phone actually lasted for 4 years, around 4 years. Yeah, almost. I mean, coming up on 5 years. So I'm pretty happy with it. With how it's performed, it was only 300 and something dollars, which is cheap if you consider the price of phones right now. And actually, funny enough, so I had to order a new phone, and I ended up getting an even cheaper phone. So this one, as I said, $320, and that was a couple of years back, before COVID. That was before COVID, pre-COVID. So you'd expect it to be like, if I would have to get a phone that's more expensive, even if I go like budget phone. I got I ended up ordering a OnePlus Nord N30. So this is the phone. Very cool. I yeah, I'm so far happy with it. I actually, like, this is how cheap I am. I ordered an open box too, and I was a bit stressed out because, like, okay, like, I don't know much about I don't know. Okay, I ordered it off of Best Buy, and I used to work at Best Buy, and being the cashier, the customer service at Best Buy, I realized open boxes are basically just new phones or just new devices, because all that we would do to consider it open box would be, like, they had to return it within 30 days, and it was like you had to manually inspect it, but also it went through the process. Like, Geek Squad would look at it, and they would have to determine that there was nothing, like, nothing had happened to that phone, basically. So open box is basically just a new phone. You're just paying a discount on it, which is true for Best Buy, official. But I bought it off of Best Buy, and Best Buy has a third party marketplace. So it'll say sold by Best Buy, or it'll say sold by Tech Outlets Shop. And that's how you know it's third party. And you can also filter it by saying, like, hey, I don't want to buy Best Buy only. And you can toggle that filter on or off. But I saw it was, so if I wanted to get the Best Buy one, it'd be brand new, 250. That's a pretty good price. I think I can do better. And so the open box was, yeah, from a third party, and it was 205, I think. So $45 off, $50 off, basically. I think that's a good price, a good bargain for just an open box. And I was looking also, there was excellent condition, fair condition, good condition. And once it gets to that, like, I know Best Buy's standards for fair, excellent, and good conditions. I generally know. But I don't know third parties, and they differ quite a bit. So you have to be very careful about buying used. But I mean, my experience with open box, even from a third party now, is pretty good. I looked at what I was gonna base it off of to see how far gone this phone already was. Is I was gonna check the battery optimization, the battery health, and so I went through all the settings just to configure it how I like, and I ended up happened to pass by battery optimization, and I saw it was still at 100%. So unless they really tampered with it and edited the battery optimize it, but that's way more work, way more effort than 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 needed. Like I don't even know how you would do that. I don't think that's even a software thing because you would, yeah, like how would you trick it through the software only if you reinstalled Android or Oxygen OS? You'd have to trick it through the hardware. And at that point, it's like just replace the battery. It's cheaper to just replace the battery than trick it. So all that being said, new phone, OnePlus Nord N30 5G. Yes, I'm gonna have to get used to saying that. The other phone that I had was a Xiaomi Poco X3 Pro. Xiaomi Poco X3 Pro. NFC. So it had the NFC functionality. And this phone has basically the same characteristics of that phone. It has 120 hertz, it has NFC, and it has 2 gigabytes less of RAM. But I actually almost preferred that because I don't want to be doom scrolling. And I actually doom scrolled today, unfortunately, but I noticed it started to lag. I was like, okay, hopefully this doesn't affect YouTube because YouTube, I might need that to perform well. But even then, I just watch YouTube on my computer, if anything. And yeah, I don't want it to perform well on Instagram. I want it to freeze up, if anything. And I don't need it much for anything else, just like searching the web, ChatGPT, banking. So I'm happy with it. But it's only, again, I got it today, actually. I don't think I mentioned that. I got it today. Got it at like 2 p.m. There was the doorbell rang, and as soon as I heard it, I was like, okay, it must be. So I got up and immediately went to the door. I was really anxious to get this phone because, man, living without a cell phone is actually a nightmare because you can't get any notifications from your friends. So I was relying on somebody sending, so I was planning on traveling back to my hometown, and I was relying on somebody to send me a message to tell me if they were going to be able to carpool me to provide transportation to go back home. And I didn't have a phone, so it was through Snapchat that I was messaging this person, and I didn't have a phone, so I had to go on Snapchat web, and I wouldn't get notifications for Snapchat web, so I'd have to manually open it up, check if there was a notification. No notification? Okay, I'll check later today. Like that, it was just so, there was so much anxiety through it. There was another, oh right, I was talking with a friend, so I went to the gym yesterday, and, or actually okay, so I went to the gym yesterday, but I wanted to go with a friend. And so I had talked to him before and I said, hey, we should go to the gym together. And he said, yeah, sure. So he was gonna message me. I mean, I could have messaged him preemptively, but I didn't think of it. Like, it was the day before, so like, okay, so today is Friday. We went to the gym Thursday. So Wednesday, like, how can I message? I guess I could have just messaged, hey, I'm going to go to the gym on Wednesday, or sorry, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. So Thursday at 3 p.m. But I would have to check back on that no matter what, because I don't know whether he's going to confirm that or propose a different time. So that was annoying. But yeah, I could have just messaged. I could have just said that. But I waited for him to send a message. And recently, I mean, part of this, I'm going to go on a side tangent, a small side tangent. Part of the reason I do this is because I want to see if people are actually interested in hanging out with me rather than me constantly pursuing them. So I've found that a lot of the people that I want to hang out with, they don't reach out to me. I mean, like in guy circles, it tends to be that guys just don't really message. In my experience, at least. Maybe that's a different experience for you, and I hope it is. I hope your friends love hanging out with you, and they're very energetic to hang out and express that. But it seems to me that guys in general, they just, like, it's hard for them to take initiative, to do something, to hang out, to say they want to hang out with you. For example, if you want to have a movie night, you have to propose it. I mean, obviously, like, if you want something very specific, you have to propose it. But I'm saying your guy friend will not mention that. Your guy friend will not say, hey, I was thinking of doing a movie night. We should do it. No, you're just not going to get a message like that. It's very rare. Again, this could be purely just my experience and nobody else has had that. And it kind of sucks. I mean, the way I say I can extrapolate this to the general population is because I know guys don't really keep in touch other than sending reels on Instagram. So if you're far away, that's the scenario that I'm giving. And I have this friend, I've taken care of that, I've noticed that, and I've also noticed girls will tend to still somewhat stay in touch. They'll stay in touch. They'll be more inclined to message you even if you're away, even if you're like, yeah, completely away, completely far away. They'll still check in and still. Yeah, I guess that's the same for both people. I mean, if you post something on your story and it's like, I don't know, you doing a backflip and your friend also can do a backflip, and then he says, hey, that's so cool that you learned that, like that. That is normal for both guys and girls to do, but I just have the impression that girls are better at staying in touch long distance. Guys just are not great at that. But, right, what I was going to say is I have a friend, my friend Ryan, actually. My very good friend Ryan. My best friend Ryan. He actually messaged me yesterday. And it was just some random thing. Like, I was listening to something and he could see what I was listening to. And so he made a joke about it. And it's just like those small things where it shows that he cares about you, and yeah, he is your friend, and he cares what you're up to. That's a sign that he's putting in he's putting in effort in the relationship too. And I say relationship, I always say relationship, and I always think back to romantic relationship. And you could apply it in a romantic relationship as well. Is this person reciprocating in effort, in willingness to hang out? But I think, like, that, if they're not, that's an indication that they're not great friends. But for guys, it's less so the case, unfortunately. Yeah, yeah, there's another scenario that I'm thinking of too. And man, I don't want to, okay. I'm thinking back because I don't want somebody's to hear this, but I think I should say it regardless. And I guess it doesn't really mean much to the void of the internet if some random person hears that, but it does mean a lot if the person that I don't intend or I don't want to hear it hears it. But I'll say it anyways. I would visit my hometown and I would just be like there would be nothing to do and I would want to hang out with my friends. And there were actually the okay, so I wouldn't know if they were in town, but I would assume they are. Yeah. No, 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 no. I think I did know they were in town. Oh man. Yeah, I did. No, oh, no, I only found out after I asked. So, okay, so the situation was basically I wanted to hang out with my friend, and it's the summer, so I assume that my friend, it's very likely that my friend is going to be at home, but it sucks that this person doesn't say, like, hey, are you back from reading, or are you back for the summer? Are you home for the summer? Hey, do you want to do something for summer? And then it's like, you only you are the one to put that initiative. What does that mean? Does that mean they really care about hanging out with you? And that's why I say in my experience with guys it's harder. But maybe it's just that I don't have such strong connections, or my male friends don't want to hang out too much with me. I have no idea. No, I have some general idea, but it's also too, I'm very critical of myself, so like analyzing if I worded this conversation poorly, or if I made a bad first impression on this person, or if I said something to seem less intelligent to this person. How does this person view me? Just always thinking, I guess overthinking what's my impression, what impression I have on people, what impressions people have of me. I think that might be the best way to word it. But then again, I overlook the fact that okay, so when my friend Hunter, he invited me to hang out for, I don't think he even knew I was in town. Yeah, he didn't even know I was in town, and he invited me to hang out. He was like, "Hey, we should do something for the summer." And I actually wasn't in town. I wasn't in town at that time, and I was like, "Hey, I'm not in town, but I will be in town this time. Let's do it." So I'm really happy with that. I'm glad that he reached out. But that, and another friend did that too recently. Okay, now that I think about it, there was a third friend who mentioned it, who mentioned hanging out, not necessarily in person, but just like hanging out virtually. And okay, if I really think about it, there was another friend that suggested that too. Yeah, okay, maybe I'm nitpicking, maybe I'm just too critical. No, that definitely is it. I'm very critical of myself. Very pessimistic about myself, but optimistic about the world. I don't know how to put it because I would say in general I'm an optimistic person. Oh man, I can't remember if I talked about this, but I've been working on speaking slower. No, I haven't. That's not true. That's not true at all. I should be working on speaking slower. And the idea behind that is you convey importance. I'm pretty sure I have talked about this. You convey importance and you're able to articulate your words better. But the downside is you don't go Ben Shapiro speed and you can't get all your thoughts out in a short amount of time. And it's so this is the dilemma you run into. Do you prefer productivity or optimization in terms of content consumed from a speaking perspective, speaking to your friend's perspective, or no, just speaking in general perspective? Or do you go for portraying confidence, being a more confident person, or acting as a more confident person? And the other thing too is as you slow down your speech and you act more confidently, I believe you will be more confident. I mean, I think it's kind of circular where the people who are confident speak slower. And if you speak slower, you tend to be associated with confidence. So people give you that confidence. It's kind of like oh, I forget the name of that rule, but there's a rule where it's like the Matthew principle. Yes, I think it's the Matthew principle where I'll give the analogy, the example. They did a study where people born in it to see whether people born in January or in December were more likely to be superstar athletes or some high performing successful career. And they found that people born earlier in the year were actually more likely because they would grow to be taller, and so they'd be, for example, we'll say basketball. They would be taller than their peers, just on average, and so they'd be chosen to play basketball. And then, as they as they were chosen to play basketball, they would get better than their peers because they would be on the bench less because they were taller, and as they continued to play, they gained more experience than their peers because they were not on the bench. And then that kind of just propelled them as they just kept on getting rich and rich and rich. They just kept on getting richer. As they got rich, they got richer. I believe that is the Matthew principle. And I'll have to search it up after, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That's what it's called. I don't know why I mentioned that. Why did I? Oh yeah, with confidence speaking. Well, just in general, traits in general where you try to adapt that trait. You try to absorb that trait or that personality into your lifestyle. I mean, fake it until you make it. I remember watching a TED talk too about that. Fake it until you make it, and I believed it. But turns out it was a TED talk about speaking, about getting better at speeches, something like that, or like have confidence in speeches. And she was advocating for positive affirmation. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I remember what it was specifically too because she said in the TED talk, you before you do a speech or before you have to perform, put your arms in a Y position. So both of your arms stretched out in a Y position and say yes. Say yes and say it loud and with effort and like you mean it, I guess is the idea. And the idea behind that is it primes your body and your brain to actually perform and to be prepared. I read recently, I have no idea where, it could have even been ChatGPT for all I know, but I don't think it was. I don't think it was ChatGPT even, but I read this has been debunked. Positive affir I don't know if it's the why thing is called positive affirmation, but I'm just gonna call it that. It's called some like it's called something similar to positive affirmation if it's not positive affirmation. Yeah, you got this. So it is positive affirmation. It's been debunked. Now, like, to what extent has it been debunked? Well, putting your hands in a Y pose doesn't do anything special. It doesn't increase cortisol levels and serotonin, but maybe it does actually prime. What it didn't cover is your actual mentality. Like, maybe the fact that your mentality shifted, maybe that was just enough to actually make you succeed. So, in other words, science is fake, the earth is flat, sun revolves around the earth, and the sky is black. Yeah. Don't know what else I really want to add. I literally, for my notes, I literally put the title, "My phone got bricked." And the date, and then that was it. So I have no notes, but that was basically, I think that was pretty well for a off the script, off the rip, like the Juice World song. Yeah, apparently there was supposed to be a Juice World album, another like a pre-death, like there was supposed to be an album before he died, obviously, but it was in the works, and then he died, and so they put some of the songs into that posthumous album, and I didn't know that. I mean, obviously it makes sense that he would make an album. He was in the process of making an album, but think that I didn't think that in the first place. So I guess what I'll be struggling through this month is, or just in the future, is deciding about that confidence thing. I think the confidence thing I mainly want to do when approaching people for the first time, not just girls, so that people in general have a better perception of me, a better first impression of me, than if I were to sound antsy and sound very ecstatic about what I'm talking, energized about what I'm talking. And you could argue also, well, if you're energized about talking, then people might want that. But a lot of the times, at least in my experience, where I've talked to people that are very energized about, passionate about what they're talking, I don't really care. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, very cool. See you later. Especially if they're very excited to talk specifically to me. Well, okay, no, not specifically to me. They're excited to talk to me because I'm a person. They're excited to spew, to just speak because they're that type of person. I hate that. I don't want to speak to you just because you want to speak. I want to actually have a conversation. Like that one guy. I'm sure everybody has that. I'm almost at the 30-minute mark. Who has that compulsion to go up to you, whether he knows you or not, and just talk with you for 15 minutes, at least, at very least. And then every time he sees you, you have to engage in conversation. Oh, what a nasty way to communicate. And especially the people that work there too, they're just forced in into the conversation. There's nothing they can do. Man, that guy forced me to talk to a Colombian girl. Oh no, a Colombian girl at the front desk of the gym, and I didn't really care to talk with her. I didn't find her attractive, but I didn't find her unattractive. I just didn't care either way to talk with her. And then he went, like, he was in the gym. To give you a perception of where we walked, he was in the gym. So the gym is the second floor. This is the Carlton gym. There's the front desk of the gym that's on the second floor, and then you leave that, and then you go down the stairs, and then you go to the locker room. So that there could, well, okay, if you want to go to the front desk, there's not necessarily, you don't have to go to the locker room, but the locker room is right there. And then you go out the doors, and then you go right, and then that's the front desk, and that's on the first floor. So it's like all the way far away from the gym. And so he was like, here, oh, you're Colombian. There's this Colombian girl at the front desk. Oh, no, I didn't know that. But I had a feeling she was Colombian. And they said, yeah, she's at the front desk. Like, wait, at the front desk? No, then I have no idea who you're talking about. Yeah, Jessica. What? Who's Jessica? How do you know her name? Oh, because I've talked with her. But why have you talked with her? Oh, because I just love talking with everyone. And he had a heavy Indian accent too, so it was so hard to understand. I had to ask him a couple of times, like, what are you saying? Like, what? Like, what did you say? I didn't understand. And that's always awkward too, because then he just repeats the exact same thing. It's like, it's just a guessing game of trying to understand that. Yeah, anyways, he introduced me to that girl, and it was just really awkward because he was like, this is my friend Felipe. This is Jessica. Hey Felipe, this is Jessica. Oh, no. He said, hey Felipe, this is Jessica. And then Jessica said something like, oh, hey, what's your name? And then for some reason, now it's just awkward because I didn't respond. I just looked at him. I was like, what is going on? And it's like, I was thinking like he was going to respond. And then he's like, oh, say your name. It's like, what the hell, man? Like, you're trying to wingman me, I think. I don't really understand. And then you just basically, like, you hand off the ball, and then you snatch it back and dunk on me. Like, why, man? And so so I said my name. Yeah, my name's Felipe. Okay, well, I'll let you two talk. I'll see you. Goodbye. And then he leaves. This is the only time he's ever said bye first. He's ever left first in a conversation. Okay, so I'm like, oh, hey, so Colombia, yeah, like, I have no idea what to say. This is somewhat unusual. I mean, like, I could have thought of things to say, but it was just such a weird thing that happened, and I also didn't feel like talking to Jessica, but he just forced me to talk to Jessica. I'm kind of pissy about that. There's, I don't know what. I don't know. That's another filler I have to get rid of. But what else do I say? Like, what? 34 minutes? Okay, there's one last thing that I wanted to say after I mentioned Colombian. So, okay, there's this. Okay. Oh no, this is gonna be another video. It has to be another video. It's a long story. Okay. Thanks for bearing with me. See you in the next one.